Hi Anne, hi Darren. I'm going to be a bit quicker this time. I've made your amends and rejigged the plan, and I think it glitched last time at 10 minutes because it doesn't like me rambling on. So it means I need to keep things a bit briefer. But just wanted to show you where I'm at now. So I've been through, obviously, all your feedback here. Just for the next feedback, if you could print out a screenshot that I'm going to give you of the layout and just make your sort of layout amends, if any, on the design itself, because it's quite tricky to sort of refer back, and I was a bit confused by sort of some of the information here and some of the sort of pictures where we were on the plan. So hopefully I've kind of interpreted this right for you. So all the obvious things, reduce this to 2.5, taking out the AstroTurf, and we'll have it as a courtyard garden, completely hard landscaped. What I am very, very cautious of, just as something for you to be aware of, is that if I were to put in any more hard landscaping than this, I'm worried that I'm going well over budget. Certainly if my landscapers here were to build this sort of garden and sort of to sort of put any more of these kind of big features and rendered beds and extra things in, then I would certainly be looking at a 20 to 25k budget here. So I know you've said that you've got cost cuts that you can make, that you're using a builder, I think, and you plan to do a lot of work yourself. But these images are all very sort of seductive, I know, and they sort of pull you in. But just I really, really want to sort of make you aware early doors that if we start adding too much more, then I'm feeling that you may have to double your budget. So just that you're aware of that up front before we start adding loads of more things in. Already, by having it all hard landscaped, obviously it increases your square meterage of stone and paving. It is a small garden, so it's best to keep things simple, and try and limit the number of sort of features that we cram into this space. So hopefully I've kind of taken your feedback, worked with it, and come up with something workable that you're going to love. So just to talk you through it briefly, 2.5 meters out, planting beds both sides. This is obviously the higher rendered wall, then we drop down, and on both sides the rendered wall and the composite board on top. Just a note about that itself, all that kind of rendered wall, the meterage and a composite on top, that for my guys would take about 2 grand of the budget. So you can see already where I'm sort of a little bit concerned. You might need to think about just sticking to ordinary fence panels if you don't want to do that. But just something to bear in mind. I don't want to get too carried away, or for you to be disappointed or cross with me when you have it all costed. Anyway, for the time being, I'm keeping with what you've asked me to do, which is the rendered wall here, then dropping down. I've tucked in the 2.5 by 2.5 meter hot tub here behind the plantings. So you're right, it will be screened here from the doors. You can drop down in these steps, and then I've created a lovely kind of little chill out zen spa area with your relaxing sort of recliners and things around here, and keeping this planting bed down the side with the olive trees and the buxballs. But an extra thing that I've added in here is to really sort of petition the garden, so that what I was worried about, especially when it's all hard landscaping, is that you end up with planting very much sort of round the edges, and it's really good to sort of have some greenery in the centre. It just kind of stops it looking too harsh and it breaks it up. So this is a little trick, a sort of L-shaped small buxus hedge, box box plant hedging that can be neat and tidy and clipped into this lovely sort of clipped L shape. It doesn't avoid or break up views, but it just divides the space into little rooms. And you know, once I got this kind of notification to take out the AstroTurf, I was sort of worried about it being too hard and grey paving. So I've used the clipped box to kind of break up the space, and also sort of a white pebble, like a Scottish pebble, which will give another surface. I also think it will be good to use slightly different colours with our paving when we get onto paving choices. So I've just kind of denoted here a slightly darker, perhaps grey, and a lighter grey in your sort of spa area, if we call that the spa. And just to sort of follow through, I've also used a plank paver here, which gives it another dimension, a lovely, sleek, long, wide plank paving, which are very trendy, very current at the moment, and they look gorgeous set through pebbles. I've kept the counterbalance of trees here. I think that's really important to keep the 3 along here of the olives and the 1 multi-stemmed here. I've thought about the eucalyptus and putting it up here in this corner. I think it will create a nice kind of balance to have a sort of, you know, something big and silvery and light at this end. Something I was a bit confused about was the comment here to keep the white rendered seating area bench longer and maybe L or U-shaped. We didn't actually have a built-in bench in the first plan, so I didn't know what you meant by that. I wondered if you meant here up in the decking. This was actually just a planting bed without a bench. We could add benching into it, but I think in terms of space, we've got quite a lot going on here. We've got these inbuilt planters, we've got the rendered walls going down, and I think for your sort of chill out area at the back, it would be great to have some soft furnishings and to really think about having 2 small two-seater sofas either side of each other, perhaps in a wicker or a rattan with a fire pit. If we start building in down the bottom here with inbuilt benching, again, it's very much hard landscaped all the way down. So, you know, I wondered where that was. Perhaps I've got that wrong. But if you could let me know what your thoughts are on that. This is beautiful. It's a very big space and very high-end finish. So just, you know, I've got my eye on overall layout, assigning areas in your garden without it looking too crammed, and obviously I've got my eye very much on the budget that you've kind of got assigned here of sort of 9 to 10k. I think we're kind of pushing it a little. You know, I don't want to be negative and really put you off, but we've got a lot of things going on here. I'm just looking at your planting list that you'd sort of originally sent as well. And again, there's quite a lot of variety, white roses and camellias, and then pinks and blues, alliums and grasses. That's all fairly achievable, but again, I think in lower quantities or higher quantities of the same species, otherwise you end up with a very dotty effect of one of these and one of these and one of these. So I'd always like to plant in 3s and 5s to give a more solid kind of designer look. And at the moment on our plan, we've just got the 2 planting beds here, which I imagine as full of all these pinks and purples, the alliums, the irises, some grasses in between. But they're kind of 1 metre planting beds, you know. And then this would be a nice sort of open area with the tree, the clipped box hedging to give you that bit of formality, the olive trees and the clip box. So all of these sort of roses and camellias and the bigger shrub things that you've got here, and phormium and the eucalyptus, you know, we've really only got this sort of space around the bottom to still keep it clean, modern, and just sort of clean lines. So I have got a few concerns, but I wanted the opportunity to sort of show this to you and see what you think. quite big changes. I haven't put this into a 3D model yet, just because I think this layout guide is really important. We need to really nail the layout, you know, because the sort of change, you know, these were quite big changes and taking out the sort of area of green. So I'm aware that I don't want to jump too far ahead. I'm going to show you I can spin. The planting symbols have gone in at 3D. Everything else is flat on my model so far, but I just want to sort of spin it a bit to give you an idea of how this could look. We've got to try and keep these shapes simple. I'm going to put a few other notes on email about dimensions and things, just so that I get these dimensions right. But yeah, apart from that, we're moving on, moving forward, and I look forward to hearing your feedback. Okay, thanks for now, guys. Speak to you soon. Bye.